Alright everyone, I have had some things running through my mind and I thought I'd make a video and share it with you all as I go through it. So I've turned on Stellarium here because I want to look at some things and I want to talk about some things. And it's kind of going to be all over the place because that's just the way my brain works. I want to talk about this age that we're in Pisces and what all this means. But before I do that, we're going to take a quick look at where everybody's at right now. Today is the 23rd. We're moving into the 24th by the time you see this. So we're on Christmas Eve. On the solstice, Mars moved out of Aquarius into Pisces. When Mars is in Pisces, he comes off as bipolar. This is the feminine axis of the mutable cross. So when Mars is on the mutable cross, he comes off as bipolar. When he's happy, he's really, really happy. But when he's sad or mean or angry, everything is just personified. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area for Mars here. He goes from one extreme to the other. Worse so in Pisces and Virgo because it's feminine, more so than the masculine of Sagittarius and Gemini. Now this age, this cross is ruled by Jupiter and Mercury. Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius, while Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini, each having a masculine and a feminine aspect. Now, Mercury is debilitated here in Pisces, so Jupiter really has all the power. Mercury is communication in one aspect, and Pisces is about the masses, the people. And so the people have no voice in this age. It's all Jupiter. That's why the media is so controlled and so powerful, publishing anything. That's why truth just simply does not get out there. Jupiter, who's in control, does not care what information is put out as long as it's twisted and disinfo. And that's just the way it is. You can dig through the disinfo if you understand the language and how they work and how they invert and everything. They pervert it and invert it. You know, let's go to the solstice, because we had a Mercury-Jupiter conjunction on the solstice. At the same day that Mars moved into the other water sign of Pisces. Alright, so Mercury-Jupiter conjunction with a Mars gonna act stupid. That's what I call it. Mars acts stupid over here. Even when he's in the happy mode, he can be a bit silly and arrogant. This can also be a malefic presence, right? When Mars is here, he becomes malefic. So you've got Mars in Jupiter's house and Jupiter in Mars's house. And this is going to set the stage for the season. Everything runs in seasons. It's quarterly. So this energy right here is going to play through because it happens on the equinox. It will play through on the solstice. It will play through until the equinox, till spring, the next quarter. We have a Saturn-Jupiter, not a Saturn-Jupiter, a Saturn-Sun conjunction coming up on New Year's Day. Also on the same day, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we have a Moon-Venus Saturn-Sun conjunction. Saturn-Sun and fire, Jupiter's house. Saturn is combust here. But Moon conjunct Venus. Mercury and Jupiter on either leg of the hero, Hercules, Serpentarius. His Arabic name is Serpentarius. I call him the snake charmer. He's the snake charmer. And Mars just being his wicked little self here. And he is. You know, he rules fire here. Jupiter rules water here. They had the battle of fire and ice. And they teamed up. And that's really the story of what's going on right now and what we're dealing with. And the story we're not really told. You have things like the Maccabees, or the apocryphal books, and some other texts that want to make mention of what occurred here. Really the most accurate, what we're given, if you can see through the hype of it all, is Game of Thrones. If you just understand it by the symbolism, then it's a completely different story than what's going on otherwise. But ages always join themselves together. How do I put this? The people in power from one age don't want to lose power. And they know they're destined to, because it's the changing of a world age. So what they do is they breed with the next age. And it's always bloodlines connecting. And they keep adding more bloodlines in. It's how we get this word Arab. It means mixed. When you have a river, it has fresh water. And they flow to the sea that's salt water. But where they meet, we have things called bays, and that water becomes what they call brackish. It's brackish water. It's mixed. The funny thing is this word brackish is actually the same word as abraxas. And then we add that infamous ish onto it. We use ish in the English language as a way to describe something. It makes a word an adjective, a descriptive word. It's ish. We're describing it. But in the ancient tongues, ish is man. That's man. You have the 12 ishes. You have the Finnish, the Polish, the Irish, the English, the Scottish, the Yiddish. The list goes on. Then you have the Ians and the Ites, right? You have the Scythians. That would be the most ancient name that is given in the biblical text for the people we would know as Russians. And it's the Scythians who came down over the Caucasus Mountains and breeded with the age of Asia and fire. And then we have these, and they actually went back after the next age, but we call them Caucasians. And they're not white people, they're Caucasians. They're mixed, they're Arab, they're brackish, they're abraxas. You have to know the terminology. It's all what I call Phoenician, right? It's all a faux Nicaean language. It's a false Nicaean. They're words within words and symbols within symbols. But we got a lot going on. Markers that are being set up on what I call ritualistic days, right? We call them holidays. They're rituals, ceremonies. A wedding is a ritual. It's a ceremony. Our lives are built around rituals. We set the alarm and get up at the same time 5 days a week. That's a ritual you do. Things we do in repetitive patterns are rituals. It builds patterns. The universe recognizes patterns. It recognizes symbols and patterns. It's subconscious. Like our subconscious mind, it doesn't speak in language. It's beyond language. It's symbolic and ritualistic. It is a pattern itself, and how we influence the pattern is to in the fractal. The pattern in the fractal is by ritual, by doing something over and over again. Now, the Christ said something unique. He said, "I am the truth, I am the way, and I am the life." Not light, life. Now, that word, "I am the way," I know that as the Tao. The Tao. In some languages, it's Tao, because the D and the T are interchangeable. But the Tao means the way. And when you talk about Taoism or Taoism, and there's your isms, is they take and make a religion out of it when it's just the way. It's not the way-ism, right? It's not the way-ism. It's just the way. When you talk about that, they have teachings within, and we call it Kung Fu. This word Kung Fu, I've talked about this before. And that's doing something over and 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 over until you can do it in your sleep. You've mastered it. Kung Fu. Fomalhaut Thalem means master. I am the way. I am the Tao. I am the Tao. I'm the Aleph and the Tao. I'm the way. And that is the only way out of this false matrix. We're actually in two matrices at the same time. Just like we have a soul, a spirit, and then a flesh body. We have a light body and a flesh body. We have two matrices going on. In my understanding, I'm convinced of this. I really have no way of proving it, but by experience, that the soul is trapped in the body by water. And water is ruled in this age by Jupiter and by the moon. The moon, Jupiter, and Mars rule water. Mars is funny in water. Now, Mars rules the water of Scorpio, and here he's let's make love, right? It's sensual and it's passionate, but he's debilitated in the water of Cancer, which is home, right? The people in your family. We really can't be our true selves in our home. You have to compromise, and everybody has a part to play. Your actions are debilitated with the people in your home. You have to withhold yourself. Things you wouldn't do and wouldn't say to your family that you would to other people. Because you're in Mama's house, Cancer. But the water here is just the people, the masses, right? The masses. But we've got some strange things happening, man. I can't believe all the crap that is really coming down the pipes. I don't think I've ever seen propaganda as thick and as heavy as it is at this time, and it's extremely deceptive. You know, biblically, I keep going back to this because this is what I do, I guess. It says that I will send them strong delusion to cause them to believe. And the book says a lie, but it's the lie. It's not a lie, it's the lie. There's only one. There's only one lie. And when you tell one lie, then you got to tell another lie to cover up that lie. So there's truly only one source lie. The rest of it is just the mountain you've built on top of it to perpetuate the lie. We call it disinformation, programming. It's just the lie. This place is not real. This is not reality. When people say, talk about reality, what the hell is reality? I mean, isn't it anything our minds make of it? We can all create our own realities. We're in this strange place that is, there really are no rules. There are no rules in love and war. People think they still follow these rules of this God of thou shalt not in the 10 Commandments. It is law that created sin. Everything has a duality. So when you create law, you've immediately created sin. When you create love, you've immediately created hate. Everything is a double-edged sword here. And it's hard to walk in the middle. It's hard to be in a gray area. We all want out of this duality. To me, when Eve and Adam ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil is the knowledge of duality. The good and the evil. You could have easily said they ate of the tree of the knowledge of black and white, or the knowledge of left and right, or the knowledge of up and down, or within and without. It's all duality, and without one, there is not the other. When one side tries to destroy the other, it's simply destroying itself. It will instantly crumble. It can't stand without a counterpart, because it's all built on opposition. And that is the false reality. That's why they keep us at odds and perpetual war. They keep us at each other's throat. That is the lie that holds up this whole false matrix. And it's the knowledge of good and evil. You know, knowledge without understanding and wisdom is a very dangerous thing. It's simply one coin. There are two sides. The trick is, can you stand the coin on its edge and spin it and let it grabs that centrifugal force and just takes off? Everything is in motion. Everything is in motion. And this matrix is at this time trying to shut us all down. They want to stop the motion. There's too much motion. And they're losing control. They're losing control. So they like to separate us and isolate us into houses, cubicles, our little boxes, separate us all into our own little box, and you have your own little house, and you create your own little world the way you want it. And it's confining us into its parameters. And it's told us that there are parameters, which is funny, because the entities that is doing this is about expansion. The one that's going to get us out of this is about contraction. Less is more. Stop expanding. When they talk about the universe, they don't know how to explain it. So they have this one theory where it expands and then it contracts back in on itself, called singularity. In our realm, in alchemy, Jupiter is the expansion part, and Saturn is the contraction part, or the singularity, the thing the expansion fears. When you pull everything back into one, into singularity of self, within yourself, the age we're coming into, Aquarius, and Thalem, the Lamb, being the master, the teacher, being the way, the Tao, doing it over and over and over again. That is the key to breaking the cycle and breaking the chains that bind us in this matrix. We could actually hijack it and take it over if we could get everybody to do a daily ritual to make the world a better place, to propagate the ritual within the fractal. And you have to start with self. For that matter, that's all any of us can really do. We can't go make the world or others, but we can start with self. And then you be the example. And then somebody else does it. And maybe it'll take a few generations or even an age. But it's not impossible. Actually, in this matrix, nothing is impossible. What really keeps us in our chains is ourself. And which has a lot to do with Jupiter, because Jupiter is desire. And it's our desires, and Venus too, Jupiter and Venus, because it's also our heart. Our heart is our biggest attachments, are the things that we love. And then our desires, which are just wants, lusts. Jupiter and Scorpio is very lustful there. Right? It's not really about love. It's about the lower chakra of Mars and reproduction. It's not so much loyalty type of what love truly is. We think of love from the heart. Well, hate is generated from the heart as well. That's, love and hate. Hate can only live in two places. And that's in the hearts and minds of people. Otherwise, it has no other feeding ground. That's it. That's the only place. And it's fueled by Mars. It lives in the heart, Venus, or even in the mind, which would be Saturn. But it's fueled by the rusty planet, Mars, which is Krusty, by the way. You want to know who Krusty the Clown is? In The Simpsons is Mars. All of the characters, ourselves, even ourselves, right? We all have aspects of all of these, but our natal sign tells us what characters we're playing in the script. It tells us who we are in the storyline. And everybody needs to know who they are, and they actually do need to play their part. Now, what the powers that be in the UN, the big UN, is trying to do is cookie cutter everybody, right? They want socialism. They want cookie cutter everybody. But that's not the way this thing is made up. We are not all created equal. For that matter, there are no two created equal. Nowhere. Ever. Ever has been or ever will be. There will never be two alike. Even twins, there are vast differences in them, in their personalities. Our natal charts have a big effect on us, but so does our environment. A lot of time, our natal charts will show how the environment that we grow up in affects us, whether there's depression or abuse in childhood, and that's environmental. It shows up there, and so does the payoff. It's a story. It's a script, and there's 4 stories going on. I actually call it the late night double feature picture show. Really, everything was told to us in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's a freaky cult classic, but if you can get by what Hollywood does, it is 100% truth. You start out with Brad and Janet, and they've gone to a wedding, right? They're not part of the wedding party. And after the wedding, they leave and immediately have a flat tire. They need a 5th wheel. The age is over. The wedding they went to was the bride and the lamb, right? The wedding of the lamb. And they leave and have a flat tire. End of the age, right? Their wheel is now flat. We're in the 4th age. They're in a car, 4 wheels. The 4th wheel is flat. They don't have a spare. They don't have a 5th wheel. They don't have the 5th zodiac. They didn't repent. They didn't come up with a fifth wheel. So they end up at the Frankenstein castle. And he's Frankenfurter, right? And he's wanting to build a man with blonde hair and a tan that's just grand for relieving his tensions. And all this shit goes down. And at the end, the butler did it. The butler and the maid turned out to be this hierarchy and are taking him out, while everybody else is turned to stone, which is a funny little star over here in Aries in the eye of Medusa, and it's called Algol, and it's considered the most evil star in astrology. It's the head of Medusa, and Medusa turns the Kraken to stone, and the Kraken down here is Leviathan, which is religion. And within there is the sheepfold. And the head of this Leviathan is the sheepfold that came out of the flock out of Africa into Asia. And it's the church. And it's turned to stone. Even ELO tells us, turn to stone. Since you've been gone, when are you coming home? We've turned to stone. And not only are they turned to stone, Aries here, but then they're thrown into the water, the swimming pool. And then they all wake up. They all wake up. And it's all over. And they're in the fifth age now. Then they're in the age of Aquarius. They tell you how everything's going down. It's crazy. It really is. Back when I was a teenager, I actually worked at a theater on the weekends. I worked Friday and Saturday night. They had a late night, midnight showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show. And it was every Friday and Saturday night. And we stayed. We got to watch the show for free and stayed because we cleaned up the mess after this travesty that went on. And they'd throw all kind of stuff. It was a big deal to clean that theater up after that. But I've watched it so many times, I know every line by heart. And I know exactly, that movie tells exactly what's going on. It is the agenda, and it's playing out now. Right now. And Hollywood is in control. The media is in control. It is the script writers. It's all, the scribes used to be part of the priesthood. I say part of the priesthood were the scribes. And they were considered the lowliest. You had to start out as a scribe before you could get into rituals. Well, eventually the scribes took over. They took over the priesthood because now they have control of the words. And you change a few words, the next generation, you change a few more words, and before long you've got control of the script. They're called the Writers Guild. They actually have a freaking union, right? A lodge, a guild. And they're the ones that are calling the shots because they're in control of the script. The priesthood were astrologers. That's your soothsayers and your prognosticators and your prophets. All prophets in the Bible were all astrologers. You watch the heavens. You learn to read the script. And then it tells you what's coming. If you can calculate it. We are so fortunate today to have an instrument and a program software such as Stellarium. I know astrologers from the past would have given their right arm to have this. They don't have to sit down and do all of these calculations of, well, this planet moves this fast and it takes this long and it's going to be here and then. I mean, it's mind-boggling enough for me trying to do a chart. I can't imagine what they used to go through and how brilliant you actually had to be and how many generations after generations of keeping records before the pattern showed itself, before the story presented itself. And then here come the script writers. Well, we got to change this. Look, if we change this, it puts us in authority. We got the power, right? Because this is a big play. And it's all about the script. The greatest thing you can do in your life is is to really break away from the script and learn to ad-lib and write your own script. To become King Arthur, you must pull the sword from the stone. And that's an encoded word. It's Pig Latin. You take the S and put it at the end. You pull the words from the tones. Then you become King Arthur, or the author of your own story. You write your own damn golden ticket. And that's really the key to this, is to walk the path, but at the same time, make it your own. It's like, all of these are repeat stories. They call it archons, and we're just reliving stories that, but in a different age, right? Same shit, different age. But it's the same stories repeated over and over again, and we're born into them. And when it's like remaking a movie, you get tired of the remakes. You need an actor that's going to come in and really make that part their own. They're not repeating what the one did before them, but they take it and they make it brand new. They make it theirs. They own it, so to speak. We got a ruckus building outside. I'm going to pause here for a second. It's calmed down a little bit out there now. The holidays can get very loud in Las Vegas. All right. Part of the symbolism of the zodiacs is the script as well. A script can be rewritten, and that's exactly what the scribes did in Babylon. The scribes scribbled the scriptures and gave us Bible, Bibble, Babble at Babylon. But the stars and their energies remain the same. It's what you do with it. It's not the energy, it's what you do with the energy. And the human body is a conduit. Energy passes through us if we're grounded, right? We need to be grounded and let that energy flow through us. Otherwise, it becomes contained and we explode. Mars can only take so much, and then he pops off, and we have an emotional outburst when we need to learn to channel these energies. Where does this energy come from? Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought about the fact that when we get upset, you can be tired as hell, but when that adrenaline hits, when you get upset, it's all part of the endocrine system, okay? And that those are glandular systems that secrete fluids into your body that causes these reactions. And they're directly connected to your chakras that are directly connected to these planets. And the whole trick of it is, the way is mind over matter. It's practice makes perfect. That's how we say it today. Practice makes perfect. So it's the rituals in our lives and the patterns that the fractal picks up on and just begins copying them over and over again. If you want to change your life, you have to get rid of old patterns and create new ones. And in a big way, this is part of what Uranus and Uranus and Pluto does. Pluto currently in the fire of Sagittarius, and Uranus fixing to move into the fire of Aries in March. We'll have a double fire transmutation going on with those two planets. In our subconscious mind and in our conscious mind. They're going to be double teamed by the element of fire. In Arabic, wallah, it means fire, but it also means light or energy. And the human body produces that energy or channels it through the endocrine system. But it is mind over matter. Metaphysics, the way. Meta, meaning mind. Meta, the physics of the mind. We will it into being. This was actually learned back in the age of Taurus. Its motto is I will, and it is the will. Pharaoh understood. He had a will, He invoked it through his voice. He said, so let it be written, so let it be done. So he understood. You have to have the thought, the imagination, Neptune, the will, and then you speak it, Mercury. Then you write it, Mercury. Then you do it. Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, is I do. Or it should be let. I let. I do or I let. This is the god of let there be. Aquarius is I know. Pisces, I believe. Aries, I am. Taurus, I will. That's why we get I will, I am. William, I will, I am. William, this is when these two ages joined. You had the pharaohs joined with the sheiks, or actually the yellow people. You know, in the Hindi text, we're told the last great war was between the black people and the yellow people. And that this next great war, they want to make it between the black and the white, but it's not. It's between the white man and the red man. And we know who lost that one, right? Or so it appears. The war's not over yet. The next age is coming, and it belongs to the red man. When you look at the tropical zodiac, it tells you that Aquarius is the age of Gad, right? Even its symbols, the palm tree and all of that, is associated with Aquarius. But if you look at it phonetically, by the way the names or what the names mean, then this is Reuben. Ru means red, and Ben means sun. We're waiting on the red sun, not the black sun. They can forget their black sun. That ain't happening. It's the red sun that's coming. And just like when Moses told the people they needed to be healed to look upon the fiery serpent on the pole, in the next stage, we too will look up to the heavens. But when you're in the age of Aquarius, the sun is in Aquarius, you can't see the stars. You have to look upon its pole. And guess what we see in the heavens? We're going to see the lion. We're going to see the confusion. We're going to see the courage, the bravery, all of the aspects of Leo. The Lion King, right? It's the King Lion. They've inverted everything. But it's the age of the red man, the age of the lamb, the age of the master, the way, the Tao, the Tao, Kung Fu, Thalem. It's all embedded in here. Everything everybody's ever waited on. And it's when the sun rises. It's always darkest before the dawn. Always. The silver lining. There's another funny saying, because when you talk silver, you're talking moon and water. We need to understand, when you think about your chakras and your endocrine system, you have to consider the planets, the elements that they rule, and the state which with they rule. Like Jupiter and Mercury ruling the mutable cross. They're both mutable as hell. You can't trust either one of them, right? They're mutable. They'll change on you in a minute. And their aspects, when the planets move through the mutable cross, they take up that shifty character of the mutable cross. Virgo, mutable earth, that's miry clay. You mix this with a water sign aspecting a water sign like Pisces, it's opposite, and you got a muddy mess. This can turn into quicksand fast. But this was what was forbidden. Here's the funny thing about it. Let's talk about Nebuchadnezzar's statue, because it started out with a head of gold, which is the age of Leo. And he told Nebuchadnezzar, you are that head of gold. Nebu, Nebu is from the word Nebiru. And as a matter of fact, it's used in the New Testament as well. Same word, but in the Greek. And they call it, you must love your neighbor. It's the Nabara. It's the Nabiru. It's the Nabara. Throw away the vowels and see what you got. And so we're told you have this age of the head of gold. And then it had arms of silver, the Medes and the Persians. That's what we're told, right? Babylon, the Medes and the Persians. But Nebuchadnezzar, we've been through that. He's Nebu, Nibiru. He's a czar, and he's also a Khan. And those come from Europe and Asia. Those words. It's 3 different words for the rulers. The Khans, the czars, and the Nebus. Now, the Medes and the Persians were the silver, which is ruled by the moon. And then we had the bronze, right? They show you the bronze torso. And bronze is copper, Venus. They literally skip over Gemini. It's like he's not even there. They don't mention it. So it's like this kingdom had a break in it. Right in here, and then it moves to Venus, which is the bronze, and then it moves to the legs of iron. And the legs of iron do a funny thing. When they get down to the feet, they mix themselves with miry clay. Now, miry clay is Virgo, which is Mercury, and that's where that was their mistake, was they brought Mercury into the mix. Now, just like the mutable cross here is not mentioned in that statue, neither is Pisces, except for the fact that Virgo is up its pole, right? The Magdalene, the Magdalena, the Cinderella, the damsel in distress, the undefended one, Spica. And Mercury's exalted here. But he don't have a say at all in Pisces. The people have no voice in this age, but they will have a voice in the age of Aquarius. Everybody will have a voice, a purpose. They'll know the way. We all become masters. We're all adepts in this age. We have aspects of our natal charts. The cardinal cross are the leaders, the grand masters, the fixed cross are the masters, and the mutable cross are the adepts. And it is the least of them, the adepts, that we have to depend on to get us through this age. They're the ones that are the catalyst for the change. But Mercury has been, he's not had much of a voice and is debilitated in this age. But because he is that miry clay in the toes, they brought him in anyway. He wasn't supposed to be here. It was supposed to be war and religion. Aries and Pisces, Mars and Jupiter, which is the thumb and the first finger. That's why we hold up the gun and say bang bang. And they brought the little finger in, and they got rid of Mars, right? They pull Mars back. The church makes money off of war, and that was forbidden, or that kingdom would have stood forever. So we should, in a way, we should actually be grateful that they got greedy, and that's what Mercury can do, right? He's commerce, so there's greed there. And that's what happened. They got greedy, and we've been playing this game. We kind of woke up to this game in World War II, and that's when Pluto was here in the age of Cancer, the age of destruction. Pluto, World War II. The baby boomers, Pluto here, started a fire. This generation here, the mutable cross, now comes the change. And it's this generation that is implementing the change now on the mutable cross and in 2020. It is that mutable age we depend on to finally break the cycle, the ritual, the pattern, so that we can get a new pattern, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of the same old, same old. It's boring. There's nothing new under the sun. I have nothing here that holds my interest, that keeps my attention for very long. I'm really bored with it. And they've set the parameters so that if we try to come up with something new that's going to help humanity, we're just beaten to the ground. So the only thing we can do is what we can do for ourselves. And it's start this year. You need to start. I want to plant a seed, because that's what you do now. You plant the seed now. The seed comes up in the spring. The sun dies on the solstice. It's born again on the third day. And then we give gifts to each other. I mean, that's even written about, and we're doing it. We're lied to about why we do it, but nonetheless, the ritual is there based on the patterns in the heaven. That the universe don't care why we've been conned into doing the ritual. We're simply doing it. But it's a time to plant seeds. And you plant them in the heart. That's where seeds grow. That's the good ground. You fallow the heart. You get the heart ready to receive. Let's look at another day, right? Watch Mars. Let's watch when he leaves Pisces. And he goes into his own house. When? He goes into his own house the day before Valentine's Day. He conjuncts Uranus in water for change, and then pops into his own house on Valentine's Day. Now that is just ironic, that he's going to go from being this bipolar malefic to this Mars in Aries on that day. I see a lot of tension in relationships coming. It's building now. So what do? You turn it around on itself. You turn it around. The sun also moves into Aquarius now on the 16th. The 16th catches the sun in Aquarius. So the sun is in Capricorn now. You know, even Stellarium picks it up. And I checked it, and it does rectify the past. But it picked up the fact that the tsunami we had a few years ago in Indonesia, the South Pacific, at Christmas time, knocked the Earth off by its tilt by 1 degree. That's 72 years in the timeline of the heavens. So, Valentine's Day. It's going to be better than the day before Valentine's Day. The moon in Taurus, big magic. It's another magic day. You know what I've said about Valentine's Day? It's a ritualistic day that's set up so that you will have babies the last week in October. So you'll have Halloween babies. I know, because me and all my sisters have Halloween babies. My mother's birthday is Valentine's Day, and she didn't want any grandkids. And every one of us got pregnant on Valentine's Day, and every one of us had a baby the last week in October. And that's why that's set up. The rituals are all set up for a purpose. And if you'll see what they are, the funny thing about this, look at this. The moon is over the moon pillar. In every Freemason temple, there's a tracing board that has a depiction of the constellation of Orion. And Bellatrix and Rigel are the moon pillar, while Soph and Betelgeuse are the sun pillar. and then there's the ladder going up the middle. And the moon here is going to be at 72.5% and waxing moon. I don't know if any of you have ever studied Kabbalah or Jewish mysticism or anything, what their idea of what God is, okay? But they call him Ayin Soph. And you can find that in the constellation of Taurus. It is Soph, the knee of the giant in the Arabic, and then Ayin, which is Oculus Boreas. Ayin simply is Oculus. It means eye. This is the evil eye. This is the bottom of the severity pillar. Mercy, severity in the evil eye. The Ayin Soph. Not the Oculus Boreas, but the Oculus Severitas. But yeah, the Ayin Soph. That's where this word comes from. I'm not sure if they're aware of that. The rabbis that are using it, this Ayin Soph. But it's the will, right? That's how they invoke the evil eyes, through the will. And the Christ, the way, the Tao told us, the Master told us, if thine eye be single and thy body's full of light or full of darkness. There are two eyes. And check this out. Watch what also happens on Valentine's Day. Or is it the day before? Right before Valentine's. The moon hits that eye. There's your ritual that they're going to throw down. Right there. I've watched it happen. 9/11. Right here. The Freemasons use the moon in Taurus as their go signal. And the Vatican uses, which is funny because that's where Jupiter is right now. Right in what I call the crotch of Ophiuchus. They like the moon to be here. But Jupiter's the big boy for them. And he's going to be in their go spot. Whoa, check that out. The moon's going to be there too. Let's check out that day, because this is going to be big magic for the Vatican. Right there. On the 30th. That's when they're going to play their card. And it's opposite. See, Scorpio and Taurus oppose each other. Do you see what I'm telling you? Are you starting to see the way the wheel works? And again, this is part of that knowledge of tree and good and evil, that duality, that division. This is Venus opposing Mars and Jupiter and the moon. So the church is going to get its day on January the 30th, but which is going to have another Mercury. Is that Mercury? Yeah, Mercury Sun conjunction. Mercury combust of the Sun again in Saturn's house. Mars just being ridiculous. A little malefic there. And then the moon's going 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later, they do everything at exactly the same hour. 2 weeks later at exactly the same hour. Now, how the hell do you get around that? The patterns are there. What we need to do is hijack these patterns and turn them around. Do exactly what they did. Take their bad and make it good, like they take our good and make it bad. They took our happy, good Pan and the goat man and turned him into Baphomet the man goat. They pervert everything. We need to turn it back around. You know, you used to go uptown. Now you go downtown. Are you starting to catch how they do this? We used to go uptown. Now we go downtown. And when they started calling it downtown, look what happened to downtown. Downtown's a dump now. You want to change it, you have to go uptown. That's why Billy Joel wrote the song Uptown Girl. You don't go downtown. Alright? Don't go downtown. You want to go uptown. Everything on the up and up is, I guess, the best way to put that. Keep everything on the up and up. And everybody needs to learn their eons, their ishes, their ites, and their isms. Their isms. And then you have the e's. But the e's are kind of another overlay, because we call them Japanese and Chinese, and but that's not what they call themselves. They're Mandarins, they're Mandarins, they have their own names, just like we say Korean, right? You have the eons, the ishes, and the ites, and you need to learn the difference between them. The Native Americans, they didn't, the name imposed upon the Indians, the Eons, the Cherokee tribe were the Kituwa. They didn't have designation of how the Phoenicians would use ish, ite, or eon. Alright, and you know the Europeans. You know where the eons come from. You have the Hittites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, the ites. Then you have the ishes. Again, the British, the English, the Irish, Scottish, Finnish, Polish, Yiddish, and the list Spanish. There are no Germanish. There's a Danish, but there's also a Danite. That tribe breeded off with the ites, the Hivites, the Hittites, the Canaanites. That's why Dan, which is the adder in the way, which is represented by Libra, the adder in the way. That's why they keep taking Libra out. It's in the way. It's in the way. Oh, Lucifer's just in our way. That's another one they play. The Lucifer is the savior of the Jews. From the age of Aries, they had to look upon the fiery serpent on the pole to be saved from the serpents that bit them in the age of Taurus. Another thing I want to say too about Freemasonry is in the age of Taurus it wasn't Freemasonry. It was different. One, it was called builders. The word Jesus' father Joseph was a carpenter. That is so freaking erroneous. A carpenter works with wood. There are no trees in the desert. This family would have starved. The word is builders in the Greek, and it means mason. Joseph was a mason. The Christ spent 12 years in Egypt, here, learning what? The 12 houses of the zodiac. He was on his hero's journey. He obviously had a hero's journey in his natal chart. And then he comes back into Asia, or Bethlehem, which is funny. Beth means house. Ham is a name of the sun. And El is God. Or lay the God below. El above, lay below. If the vowel comes before the consonant, it's from above. If the vowel comes off after the consonant, it's below. That's why you have Allah, Allah. And that's why the black community in hip-hop music say the word holla. And they raise their hands, holla, because that's Allah reversed. It's A-L-L-A-H or H-A-L-L-A, holla. And it's Allah reversed. Everything is reversed from everything else. That's how they do it. You have to learn reverse Pig Latin. You have to learn Pig Latin and then how to reverse it. Ude, uye, ixpe, igpe, atenle. Everybody needs to learn that. I learned it as a child and it just sticks. I could talk Pig Latin all day long. This is probably the first language I learned was Pig Latin. I learned English, Pig Latin as a child, and sign language. And then I took Spanish and French in school. And then I learned Arabic. And then I just went crazy. And and a bunch of languages, wherever I could pick anything up. I loved living in international cities and talking with foreigners, and I would get words all over the place. And I was very inquisitive. But when the internet came out and Google gave us the original Google Translate, I just went to town. There was nothing stopping me. It's no good anymore. They destroyed Etymology online. They destroyed Google Translate. And you don't have the truth anymore. I did make a whole bunch of videos that are in Inside 33 archive of the names of the planets and particular words that really are eye-openers to how the language works and how the scribes scribbled the scriptures and what it is they did. And it's an alchemical code. It's all based on an alchemical code and reversing, what I call Pig Latin. And then as the Etruscans, as the ox plows, back and forth, language going in one direction and then going in another. And you simply have to know how to break it all down. Now, to me, the gematria that's used online is no good. Because it uses the vowels, and vowels are forbidden in gematria to get the true root of a word because they're variable. It has to be the consonants. The consonants are constant, and the vowels are the vowel to L is variable. In Arabic, Abraham's name is Ibrahim. It's I-B-R-I, not A-B-R-A. And because otherwise it's the same word. Ibrahim, Abraham. Actually, before the H, it was just Ibrahim. And we say Abraham. We change the I to an A. The word Arab, they say Arab. It's E-R-E-B. We say A-R-A-B. And this even happens in English, how vowels are affected. Like people from England or the UK, you have this English accent, we call it. You take a word that ends in A, you drop the A and add ER. You don't say Georgia, you say Georger. They take the A and turn it into an Where are you getting the R from? They all do it. Listen to them. It's not Victoria, it's Victorier. They drop the A and add the ER. And it's just something we do. Ebonics was coming out. And the African Americans were building this whole new language. And they brought in hip-hop and rap and hijacked it. And just took it over and made it something of their own. They did the same thing with slang language that was happening in the 60s. And they hijack it, take it over, and corrupt it. And because it's the natural tongue that creates. It's the natural tongue. That's why I keep telling you about the people in the South. And they talk slowly. They drawl, D-R-A-W-L. They draw L, their tongue. So they draw God with the tongue. It's the spoken word. That's why Pharaoh said, he spoke it. So let it be spoken. I'm speaking it. Now let it be written. Then let it be done. And done ritualistically. Perpetual. That would be the proper word. If you want to change your life and change the direction you're going in and change anything or everything, it needs to be done by way of the Tao, the way. And that is, you do it over and over again. You make it a ritual. It becomes perpetual. Then it embeds itself into the fractal and it begins to grow. Then it's second nature. It's kung fu. You can do it in your sleep. Practice makes perfect. So you must have the will. You must have the word. Then you must bring it into the physical world, whether you write it, paint it, make a video about it. You need to express it in the reality in a physical manner. Pharaoh was so serious that when he said write something, they engraved it into a wall. So think about that, and how you perpetuate ritual, and how serious are you? How far are you willing to go to make this happen? Are you willing to set aside a certain amount of time every day? The Christ told Peter and John, what? You can't pray with me 1 hour? Or let me translate that. What? You can't meditate with me 1 hour? Just 1 hour a day is all it's going to take to change your life. The question is, what are you going to do in that 1 hour? That determines on what you need to accomplish. What is it you want to change, mutate, transmutate? What to refine, bringing that phoenix out of the ashes, turning that lead to gold. If lead is Saturn, and Saturn is your time, right? So what are you going to turn your time to? How do you spend your time? That's the only thing we can do with time is spend it. Can you really save time? Once a moment's gone, it's gone. They want to tell you there's only now. There is forever. And ever, and ever, and ever. Energy can never die. It can never be destroyed. It can only change from one form to the other. It can only transmute. It can only change. My advice is everybody needs to really dig in this year. Download Stellarium. And come over here and learn what all these logistics mean, even if you've got to spend your time on Google looking it up. Come over here into the star lore and learn what the Japanese moon stations are, what the Maori star names are, and then look up what those names mean, what the Arabic is, what the Aztec is. And a lot of them, they don't have the drawings. They won't give us that. They have it, I assure you, they do. But we do have a lot of the symbols. They'll give us the outlines of the symbols of the stars. And all the stars have names, have meanings. Check this out. The new fire. They even translated that one. Here, the Pleiades is the market. In the Egyptian, it's the flock. So now we can say that the church is the marketplace. And that's where you take the sheep to fleece them to sell the wool. The story grows. So let's check out this new fire. Alright, now we already know what this is. We know this is part of Xibalba. This is Xibalba. It is the Orion Nebula. I know what that is anyway. It's the birthplace of stars. The Orion Nebula. Let's zoom in there. How close will it let us go? Wow. We can really zoom in. The birthplace of stars, nebula. These are thoughts in the mind of God. All of these stars are. We all are. Everything begins with a thought, and then the will is invoked, and then you begin to manifest it into the physical world by rituals and perpetual patterns, perpetual rituals. Let's check out Oculus Boreas here, the evil eye, the Iron Soft. It's all about the eye. Everything is about the eye. I don't, when I followed languages around, it all led me back to the stars. No matter what I studied, which direction I went in, if I went to the root, it took me up to the heavens. All of it. But when you get to looking at where all of this comes from, it all goes back to an eye. Its root source is all in the eye. EYE. The symbol of the eye is the oldest symbol on the planet. It's the most widely used symbol in history. It's the most widely used symbol today. It's on the back of every dollar bill. It is the most widely used symbol, and it is Oculus Boreas, or Iron Soft as I call it, the evil eye. Aldebaran is the right eye, and Iron is the left eye. This is the good eye, and this is the masculine eye, and then the evil eye. And you see what they do. I told you we come in through the right eye, an Aldebaran, and they venerate the left eye. That's why they sign all their documents with their left hand. Everything's backwards to them. Everything. They are uncreate, right? That's why it's the UN. Why UN? They could have picked any name on the planet. Why United Nations and then just call it UN? Because everything is It's It's unchrist. It's uncrossed. It's undue. It's just wrong. It's what it is. I like the word wrong too. They put that W in front of wrong. It's this silent W. When letters are silent in a word, they're there for a reason. And you can ask your English teacher and she's just going to give you a bunch of shit. They're there because it's encoded. It's so that the person reading it knows how to read it. Especially that, what I call the GHT, right? The NIGHT or the KNIGHT, the nights and the silent Ks and the GHT. They hide it, that GH. And that comes from the Arabic. A GH is actually a hidden representation for the letter K. I know that sounds crazy, but we say K. The Arabics say ha, ha. And it comes out sounding like a K, but it's actually a G mixed with an H. And it's guttural. It comes from the throat. We say K using our tongue pushed to the top of the mouth, but theirs comes from the throat, and it's the GH. Sometimes we'll write it as KH. Occasionally you'll see that. And that's very Oriental. That comes from Khan, or the Khans. Kubla Khan, the KHAN. You really need to learn a lot of this. Everybody's New Year's resolution should include downloading Stellarium and spending at least an hour a day either meditating or learning. Devote an hour a day to learning symbolism or going through the star lore or just turning on Stellarium and learning anything. And if you don't feel like learning and that you just can't go there, then keep it in the right pattern and meditate. But set aside a particular hour every day. Every day. You know, at certain times of the year, let go. Fomalhaut comes up on the horizon. I'm actually, when I'm born, this star's sitting on the horizon. So we have that. Let's watch Fomalhaut. Let's throw up some cardinal points and some. He's there right now. Oh no, that's Valentine's Day. Sorry. Let me put it to now. So here's now. And we're locked in on Fomalhaut. So let's get him on the horizon. And that's going to be close. So he's actually setting because I'm going up, right? I'm going up. So he's actually setting. Let's watch him rise. So we have Fomalhaut rising on the ecliptic around lunchtime every day, right? We're looking at about 12 o'clock there, right about lunchtime. They've got me in a tree line that Fomalhaut is rising. That would be a good time of day. It's not based on man's clock, right? We don't want to do this based on man's clock. Now, what do? The Freemasons use the moon in Taurus, and the Vatican uses the moon in Ophiuchus. We need to use the moon in Aquarius or Capricorn, both ruled by Saturn, but especially Fomalhaut on the horizon. And he remains there. Let's see how long he's there. He comes in at lunch, and he leaves, 8:30, 9 o'clock? He's there for about 8 hours. I should have a better landscape. Let me see if I can do something about that. Is that in the tools? No. I want something flat. Oh, these are the landscapes of the moon. It's giving you can put whatever landscape you want up. Interesting. Zero horizon. There we go. Zero horizon. That way we can see exactly what time Fomalhaut hits the horizon. And it'll be different depending on where you live on the earth. What angle it is from your perspective. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. You'll actually have to look for yourself. How about that? You know, it's funny that the way this thing is set up, you really, nobody can do this for you. You really have to do this for yourself. Nobody can open your third eye for you. Not naturally anyway. And if it's not done naturally, if it's done unnaturally, then you generally end up with the evil eye instead of you end up with darkness instead of light. And it's duality. You can get either one. And it's dependent on what state of mind you're in. This is how they do MK Ultra. They can fragment the hell out of your mind, and you emanate the evil eye. And it's extremely powerful. You know, it's the difference between the Jedi and the Dark Lords. They called what? What did they call the Dark Lords? The Scythians. The Sith. They're Scythians. They're Sith. And that word, you can look that up in the Strong's Concordance, and it don't lie. There's a better concordance than the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. It's called the Green's Interlinear, and I wish I owned it. It's about a $300 or $400 set if you can get it, but it's far more exhaustive and accurate to me than even the Strong's, as far as translating the words. It's not Masonically influenced. Alrighty, where are we today? Let's get rid of some of this. I'm going to put the meteor showers back up because we've had quite a few coming down. Let me bring us back to now. Now, you can turn all of the images off. When I first turned Stellarium on earlier, yeah, I do. We are actually in when the sun is here in the Milky Way galaxy. You know, I was talking about the other day. Gemini marks the other end of the Milky Way galaxy. You can see Sirius trying to be in there. but Gemini marks it. And now the sun is actually on the summer solstice. The sun now rises in Taurus. The leap year pulls it back. It's in and out, in and out, in and out. We are so close to the next age. We've got one leg of the cross there. Taurus is in the summer solstice, puts the fixed cross in the spring equinox. And they need to rectify that one way or the other. I don't know how it's going to be rectified, but at this point, the way they've got it set up, it's what I call a crooked cross. Neptune in Aquarius is good. Even Neptune in Pisces. Everybody wants to associate Neptune with water from the Greek god, Poseidon, and all of that. No. Neptune's the imagination. It's metaphorical. But Neptune does do well in water. The soul is trapped in water. Our minds are in water. Everything is in water. There's waters above and waters below. You know, the eyeball is water. When you ever seen, they show you the movies where they squish somebody's eye? It's all water. To me, when I look at the Milky Way galaxy, it's like the eye trying to open up. It's like we're inside the eye. The sun is the pupil. It's where the light's coming in the eye. And I wish I found somebody else in my lifetime that remembers coming into the body, because that's exactly what it's like. You're in this dark cave. Let's move the sun and just put the Milky Way there. Let's move all of this. Get rid of all the images, because it's just this dark patch. When you come into the eye, it's like you're in this dark cave and you can't see anything. And the first thing I felt, which I thought it was really strange when I think back on it, is wet. I could feel moisture. I had never felt moisture before. And it was like I was in this wet cave. And then I was told to move up to the red spot and open your eyes, right? So I opened my eyes, but it's like this. It reminds me of the Milky Way. And it's like we're in the mind of God, or in the eye of God, right? We're inside the eye of a blue-eyed giant. And the eye opens up. And it's the Milky Way opening. The eye opens. But everybody needs to learn all of this. I don't know why this is coming to mind, but I'm going to bring it up because it is. And that's going to be, let me find what I'm looking for. Make sure I got the right bird. Cygnus. Yeah, Cygnus is in the Milky Way galaxy. Now, within Cygnus, you actually have a lot of the names that are talked about in the Bible. One, you have the Satyr, okay? Then you have the Deneb. The Deneb is the same word, Deneb Algeti, that's found in Capricorn down here. Deneb Algeti, which is the Jedi. And then you have Deneb here. But there are words in here. See if they haven't taken them out. I might need to change it. Yeah, I'm going to need to change the language. Gehenna. Gehenna is here. The Satyr is here. Gehenna is like Tophet. There's Tophet, Gehenna, and Hades. And they're outside the city of Jerusalem. And Tophet is the place where it was an altar of Molech, where they would sacrifice the children. And Gehenna is where is the trash pile that burnt forever and ever and ever. It was the trash pile outside the city, and people would take their trash out there, and it was just a perpetual fire. So this Hades, this area south of Jerusalem, with this city Tophet and Gehenna, they're all embedded in here. They're all in these names. And then the Seder. Need I say more? Seder, anybody? Let's see if we can get some translations for this, if they will allow it. You used to have a lot more on here than they've taken so much away. The wing of one of the cavalry. The tail of the hen. The breast of one of the cavalry. That's funny here that they have the swooping eagle as the tortoise. You have to go see what the different animal the images are from one to the other. The head of there he is, what I call him, the snake charmer. Serpentarius in the Greek, snake charmer in the Arabic. The snake charmer. Snake charming is what today we call a Ouija board. That's what it was. What the charmer would do was he would write yes or no in the sand, and then he would charm the snake. You would ask the question, and the snake is jumping at the fire. The fire mesmerizes the snake, and if he jumps to yes or no was the answer to your question. And when it was over, they were supposed to erase yes and no from the sand. You erase the spell. Nowadays, they've given you this Ouija board, which is really duality again. Now, your body is a Ouija board. You have a left hand and a right hand. You have a yes and a no, a left and a right. You're your own Ouija board. You don't need an outside source. You know the difference between left and right, up and down. But the snake charmer, which is Ophiuchus, right? Ophiuchus is the snake charmer. He charms the snake. He's the hero. Different traditions. Learn it. Learn it all. In the Arabic, there's no Libra. They got rid of that snake. He was the adder that's in the way. But these are all of the characters in the play in the different traditions and cultures. You just have to find yourself what character you are, what part you're supposed to be playing, and then learn how to rewrite that script to suit you. Learn how to ad-lib and make it your own. Isn't that what it's really all about? Make it your own. Transmute it. Become the alchemist. Alright, this video's gotten out of hand. It's almost an hour and a half long. I think I've jabbered long enough. I did need to take a break. I have done so many charts. I've got a few left to do. But I tried to do 3 a day. That wasn't possible. That was kicking me to 12 hours or better. And I'm just dysfunctional after that. So my max is 2 a day. That's all I can do. And I'll get that wrapped up here soon. And then maybe I'm going to take a break before I think about taking any new charts. But I did need to take a break. Things that were going on in my head I wanted to talk about. And that mutable cross, who's ruling it? And, cardinal cross. Who rules the You're on the cardinal cross. Saturn rules Capricorn. The moon, opposing, rules Cancer. Then you have Venus and Mars that are Aries and Libra. On the fixed cross, we know that one so well. The face of a man, Aries. The face of a lion, Leo. The face of an ox, Taurus. And that ever elusive eagle, Scorpio. All right, y'all know what to do. Commit those random acts of kindness. Pay attention to what time of day Fomalhaut's on the horizon, and rejoice in those hours. That's the master. And that's where a constant reminder of what we need to be, where we need to be, when we need to be, who we need to be. Just doing the right thing in life. And you don't need a book or a religion or a law to tell you the difference between right and wrong. You already know it. And he said, I will write it upon your heart. The law's written in your heart. And it's love your neighbor as you would love yourself. Do the right thing. Let's make this year different. Let's start rituals that can change ourselves. And then once we pull that mote, that beam out of our own eye, then we'll be able to help our brothers. Too many of us are trying to help others when we have issues of our own. Not that it's wrong. We do what we can. But don't sell yourself short. You need to spend some time on you. And do it in meditation, contemplation. Be contemplative in your thought. Or prayer, if that's what you want to call it. If you want to call it prayer. Don't forget to fast. If things are getting hard and out of hand, fast. But when fasting comes, depression can come with it. So be prepared for that. You'll have to walk through it. But spend that hour a day making your life better, and then everybody else around you, their lives will improve simply because yours has. It is contagious. Another thing that is contagious is laughter, and that's the best medicine. Keeping a smile on our face and the face of others. Happiness, isn't that why we're all here? We express happiness through laughing and smiling. That's the body's way of expressing joy and happiness. So let's try to create more of that. If you could spend an hour a day at a particular time every day, just being happy. You know, things doesn't have to be funny for you to actually laugh. Even a faked, phony laugh creates a chemical reaction in the body. Laughter's the best medicine. Maybe we should all walk around going, ha ha ha. And Santa goes, ho ho ho. Maybe there's more to that than what we actually know. But I know all of the reactions that we have are tied up to our chakras and our endocrine system. And then that's why they give us all these vaccines, is to destroy the endocrine system. And isn't it funny that they use mercury in our fillings and in our vaccines? And they were forbidden to do that. They were forbidden to use mercury, that miry clay mixed with those toes of iron. All right, people, go commit those random acts of kindness. Start out this new year the right way. Make it the best year of your life. And you know, sometimes the hardest things we go through turn out to be the best things. It's what we define as best. But I'm going to spend this year trying to come up with new words. Because I don't like the word bless. I don't like to be less somebody. Right? You don't bless your heart, be less your heart. It just doesn't sit well with me like the word pray. I would much rather use the word meditate or contemplate than pray. Because we prey on our what we're stalking, right? Our victim. To prey on somebody, to victimize them. So we don't want to use these words. This is part of our problem. We need to find the way, the right way, the correct way. Maybe it's better to say correct than even the word right, because we associate it opposite left. But correct. You're either correct or incorrect. And to be incorrect would actually be the best correct. You want to correct the in first, and then the outside will follow. Alrighty. Follow the lamb, the mouth of the fish, wherever it goes. I need to spend this year, my New Year's resolution is going to be, I'm going to really try to learn the symbology of the Aztec, Inca, Toltec, Maya. Did I say that right? Toltec, Inca, Aztec, Maya. Whatever order that's in. Let me get out of here. Y'all have a good one. You know what to do. Get rid of some old traditions and rituals and start some new ones. Some that's going to benefit you and humanity. And if you think of any good ones, put them in the comment section below. That's what we need. We need ideas. We need that Neptune in Aquarius idea to perpetuate this. And Neptune is in Aquarius right now, so let's harvest that energy. Those of you who have Neptune in an air sign or on a fixed cross are going to be better at this, coming up with this. So get that idea of what we can do, and then we will invoke our will and then manifest it into this reality in the written word and videos and the spoken word. Some of you can even paint it in a picture, and then we'll perpetuate it into our reality and into this eternal fractal we call life.